Yeah, I have 6 cats.
Yes.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And 1 dog.
Oh, cool.
That's amazing, Laura.
Glad
When
you
I
did.
moved to Colorado Springs, my now ex-husband, but my husband and I ran a not-for-profit animal rescue. And so when we
Yeah.
moved here, we were no cage, no kill. We moved here with 12 cats, a dog, and a 6-month-old baby. Highly do not recommend. But when Ryder was about 2, we were buying cat food and cat litter, and some man in the store said, "Wow, you guys must have a lot of cats." And Ryder said, "We have 12." And I 12 cats, a dog, and a 6-month baby. What are 12 cats? What are 12 cats? That's just crazy. That's, oh God, I'm that person. So yeah, it was great.
And how lucky they were to have you.
Thank you.
Animals are the best.
True story.
Shanacho,
Oh, Mitch, look at your little
Ian,
baby.
Hey, she's not terribly happy with me doing this right now, but I'm gonna make her suffer just a little bit.
What's her name?
Topaz.
Topaz.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Wendy, for the notification.
This is going to be my new puppy. Can anybody see?
No.
Let's see.
Apollo.
There we go.
Huh?
That's Apollo.
I have an Apollo, but my Apollo is a cat.
Yeah, after Apollo 11.
Awesome.
3 months old right now. Okay, everybody, we're live on YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
Okay, live on YouTube. So now we're doing the service, right?
You're logged in right now.
Danielle, I don't know if you're by your computer, but are you in the show at PPCC? Is that you, the Danielle Sanchez working with Sarah?
I am gonna guess no. That's a huge surprise for me. I'm like, am I supposed to be at a show at Pikes Peak? That's like my worst nightmare. I have college nightmares where I show up to an exam or like a dance performance and with no back. Like, so I'm gonna guess it's not me. But what is this thing with Sarah at Pikes Peak Community College?
So my best friend, Sarah Shaver, is the chair of the theater department at PPCC. PPCC. Words are hard. And they are putting on an evening of monologues that were written by her students and some of her former students. So they're doing an evening of monologues this coming weekend. I'm actually, Ryder and I are going on Saturday evening. So yeah, but there was a Danielle Sanchez.
So definitely not me.
Okay.
So yes, I'm not. Since I'm not an alum, now I can definitively say that it is not me giving a monologue at Pikes Peak Community College this weekend. I'm stretched so thin, it wouldn't surprise me if I signed up for something that I totally forgot, but that is not one of them.
Well,
For the record, I think if you wanted to, you would do a great job, but I also completely respect not wanting to.
Eggland's best. The only.
Wendy, they partner with us.
Just being sure.
Of course.
Everyone, I'm going to record this starting when the service starts.
It looks like it's Helen Levine. Hi, Helen. We saw All Souls and weren't sure. So.
Oh, hi, Helen.
It's an enigma.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, Helen.
So excited for our tourist study to resume. we're on a high holiday break right now because we have so many services during when we would normally have Torah study, and everyone should get excited for Sunday mornings studying Torah together on Zoom. It's really fun.
Yeah. No, I think it's pushing it out.
Havarim is going to do a sukkah, right?
Yeah, we are doing a sukkah. Leah, do you want to speak to that, or do you want me to?
Hi, yes, we are, and we've changed the date to the previous Sunday. Rabbi,
September 19th
Mm.
in the morning. Going to be super awesome, which means that we're going to build and decorate it with Havirim. And then everybody's welcome to that because it's for all ages. And then we're going to have Friday night services, hopefully outside in the sukkah, socially distanced with masks on, that Friday, the 24th. But it's going to be super, even more fun because Leah, yeah, much more fun than I expected.
Hi, Doug. Lashana Tova.
It is so good to be here. This part is always a little awkward, but it's really nice. Almost 7. So exciting.
Danielle, no one is going to be at TBT tomorrow. I cannot get there. Potentially, maybe Gail or Jeff. I will let them.
I can get there because I'm going to run the services from here.
There you go. So
What time?
I will
I'll probably,
let you work that out.
yeah.
And it is 7 o'clock. Shana Tova. Happy New Year. It is officially 5782. Woot woot. It's very exciting. It's also, just gonna name it, also pretty depressing that here we are on Zoom again, not being able to physically be in our physical sanctuary on Madison Road. And it is amazing that here we are together, creating community all over the country, maybe all over the world, who knows? We are bringing sanctity and goodness into our homes, into our hearts. We are embracing the truest, deepest meaning of the new year. the possibility of starting over, of being together, of living out our values, articulating our values, and having our friends say, yeah, go you. I support that. And it's hard. It's hard to create sacred space through our computer screens or tablets or TVs or however you are joining us. And yet your presence makes a difference. You are helping create communal, sacred, shared space. And so as we begin this Rosh Hashanah together, this new year, this year of possibility, of goodness, I invite us all to take a deep breath. To breathe ourselves into our bodies, to feel them. To feel the earth, to feel ourselves, to listen, to open ourselves to the possibility of whatever we need this time to be, to help create it for ourselves and for each other. And so we begin Jewish holidays a few different ways because Judaism is super smart like that. And we have always known that people are really different. And that's what makes the community awesome, is you have to have lots of different ways that get to the same core thing that everybody's trying to accomplish. And then you're that much more likely to be able to do it. So there are two ways that holidays begin. One is at sundown, and it's specific. There's a whole discussion about what really counts as sundown and from where. And so that's at different times, in different places, in different seasons. And then holidays also begin whenever we light the candles. And that's why we light them before the official sundown, generally speaking, because we are saying, we are declaring, now I'm ready. Now I will show up and be here and create this sacred space. I'll appreciate this light and this goodness. And so as a community, we begin the new year with the lighting of candles on page 17. It is my great honor to invite the Oberhall family to the virtual Bima to lead us on page 17.
I think that means I have to put my camera on. But I did have a lighter, so I'm most of the way there. Okay. But I was running to get the lighter when I realized what part of the service it was. So can you repeat what number page I needed?
17.
Naomi.
No problem. Page 17.
Okay, sorry, spell. We're 17. We will make it through with grace and create. It's water, Elijah. Chill. Okay. Come here. Naomi, come here. You too. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel yom tov.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot and commands us to kindle the lights of Yom Tov, the lights of Rosh Hashanah, of the new year. We continue blessing this new year, this beginning, this moment of gratitude and possibility with the singing of the Shechechianu on page 17.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Page 19. Behold me of little merit, trembling and afraid as I stand before you to plead for your people. O gracious God, the one enthroned by Israel's praises, Adonai of compassion and love, accept my petition and that of my people. Let them not be put to shame because of me, nor I because of them. Sinners though we are, let our prayers come before you innocent and sweet and pleasing, as though from hearts more worthy than ours. Let love be the banner we raise in your sight, and let that love conceal all our sins and make them as though they had not been. Change our afflictions to joy and gladness, our misdeeds to acts of life. May our love of truth and peace remove all that hinders us from sincere and fruitful prayer. O God, God of every age, God eternal, all that is sacred, let my prayer find favor for the sake of the righteous, the loyal, the honest and upright, for the sake of your own glorious purpose on earth. For you are the one who in mercy hears our prayer. Blessed are you who hearkens to prayer. Page 20. Hear me, Jacob, Israel, whom I have called. I am the one, the beginning and the end. My own hand founded the earth and spread out the skies. Thus says the Eternal One, who created the heavens that stretch them out, who made the earth and all that grows in it, who gives breath to its people and spirit to those who walk upon it. I, the Eternal, have called you to righteousness and taken you by the hand and kept you. I have made you a covenant people, a light to the nations, to open blind eyes, to bring the captives out of prison and those who sit in the darkness from their dungeons. Thus says the Eternal One, creator of heavens, the one who is. I am, I will be. There is none else. Justice is my speech, right my declaration. The troubled past is forgotten, hidden from my sight. For behold, I create a new heaven and a new earth, the past forgotten, never called to mind. Be glad then, and rejoice forever in my creation. Before us lies a new day, and in the distance, a new world, ours to create by the strength of our faith and our hands. We continue on page 23. B'chodesh hashvi'i be'echad l'chodesh yihyeh lachem shabbaton zikaron tru'a mikra kodesh kol malechet avodah lo ta'asu. In the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, there shall be a sacred assembly, a cessation from work, a day of commemoration proclaimed by the sound of the shofar.
Tiga'u v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom chagenu ki chok la'Yisraelu mishpat le'Elohei Yaakov mishpat le'Elohei Yaakov.
ready for our call to prayer for the Baruch Hu, I ask, who am I? Who do I want to be in the coming year? We call all of ourselves to ourselves. The parts of ourselves we show everybody, and the parts we tend to hide away. We invite all of our past identities, those we're so proud of, and those that might not be so accurate anymore. We invite all of ourselves as we call ourselves to this new year, to a new beginning, grounded in our values and in infinite possibility. We continue with the Baruch Hu on page 24. If you feel so moved and so able, I invite you to rise. Please be seated. Page 25. Together. So day and night, early and late, we will rejoice in the study of Torah. We will walk by the light of mitzvot. They are our life and the length of our days. Praise be the source of life and love, and Israel, our people. And now we come to the part of our service where we embrace the oneness within us and all around us, where we make space for it. You feel so moved and so able. I invite you to rise as we continue with the Shema on page 26.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto.
Please be seated. It is now my great honor to invite Wendy Chiato to the virtual bima to lead us in prayer on page 26.
You shall love the Lord your God with all your mind, with all your strength, with all your being. Set these words, which I command you this day, upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourself to your God. I am the Lord, am your God who led you out of Egypt to be your guard. I, the Lord, am your guard.
As we get ready to sing the Micha Mocha, we ask ourselves, how are we still enslaved? And how do we enslave others? Where do you feel trapped in your life? What helps you feel more free? What in history do you shy away from? And what stories do you tell and embrace? We continue with Micha Mocha on page 28.
מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בניך, וכהיום לפני משה זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Page 29. May we lie down this night in peace and rise up to life renewed. May night spread over us a shelter of peace, quiet and calm, the blessing of rest. There will come a time when morning will bring no word of war or famine or anguish. There will come a day of happiness, of contentment and peace. Praise be the source of joy within us, for the night and its rest, for the promise of peace. And so now, if it were Shabbat, we would be singing Vishamru, and we would be singing it in a super awesome Temple Beit Torah way, dancing and being silly, in large part because of one super special lady whose anniversary of existence is today. We are celebrating the anniversary of the existence of the world according to our sacred tradition. And according to secular counting, we are also celebrating the anniversary of existence for the one and only Marilyn Kahn. Look at all this love, Marilyn. There are some people who just bring blessings wherever they go, who are always willing to go out of their way, who really do live their life according to the phrase, what have you done today to make God smile? Marilyn, you are a true inspiration for so many of us. And so for those of you on Zoom, I would like to invite you to type into the chat a phrase or a moment or a something that reminds you of Marilyn so that she can feel some of the blessings she gives to all of us so selflessly on this 80th anniversary of having Marilyn in the world with us. It is especially fitting that we are celebrating Marilyn's birthday today because Marilyn has taught every single small child who has begun our religious school with Bonim, which is the littlest ones, for the entire existence of our congregation. Marilyn, may you always remember and feel just how much of a blessing you are. May you always know joy and peace. And may we always appreciate you the way you deserve. Keep the blessings coming as we continue if they occur to you. And so, buoyed by blessing, by the reminder how each person makes such a fundamental difference in our world and in our community. We come to the Amidah, a prayer that we also call tefillah. Amidah means standing, and we call it the standing prayer because we literally stand. And we also call it tefillah, which just means prayer. Because if you're going to do anything, this is the center. Oh, but then you also want to do the Shema, and then you also want to do this. We're not very good at just doing one thing. And yet this is the heart of everything because this is where we remind ourselves where we've come from. And we also ask ourselves, where do we wish to go? And so we'll begin the Amidah with a hope. May each of us use this time to be exactly what we need it to be. And then we will remind us and each other of life and how deeds are written in the book of life, meaning that we create more life with good deeds. And then we ask ourselves who our sacred ancestors were and what we have decided they stood for. If you feel so moved and so able, I invite you to rise as we continue on page 30.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagador, Hagibor, v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel chasadim tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zocher hasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, l'ma'an shemo be'ahava. Zochreinu l'chaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, b'chodveinu, b'sefer ha'chaim, l'mancha Elohim chayim. Melech Ozer u'Mashiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai Magen, Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah rav lehoshia. Machalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim robim. Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umkayem emunato, Lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al givurot, Umido melach, Melech mimid, Umchaye, Umatzmiya Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hakol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, kadoshim b'chol yom yahalucha salah. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who strive to be holy declare your glory day by day. Please be seated. As part of beginning a new year, we also embrace our own longings. We ask ourselves, what do we want? In that deepest, realist sense, what do we need for this coming year? What would make it amazing? What are we in control of? And where can we ask for help? We continue with Ritzeh on page 36.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu, Ba'amecha Yisrael. באהבה תקבל ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל. ישראל עמך אל קרוב לכל קוראיו פני לבדך בכוננו שפוך רוחך עלינו ותחזינה אלינו בשובך לציון. ברחמים ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון. 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 שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. בספר חיים ברכה ושלום, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. ברכה ושלום ניזכר וניכתב לפניך. אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל לחיים טובים ושלום. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה שלום.
It is now my honor to invite Rhonda Confrent to the virtual bima to lead us in prayer on page 38.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country that it may always be a stronghold of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within its homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship among the inhabitants of all lands, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Teach us, O God, to labor for righteousness, and inscribe us in the book of life, blessing and peace. Blessed is the eternal God, the source of peace.
We continue now with the most important prayer of all, the prayer that resides within each and every one of us.
Oh, say shalom, 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 bin ramavuya, say shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom, 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 bin ramavuya, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen.
So this time of year, we call Yamim HaNoraim, the days of awe. And awe in the biggest sense of the word. So like definitely in the awesome, like, wow, that's like so awesome, like really awesome. Not just like, oh, totally, really awesome. Like, whoa, awesome. As well as terrifying kind of awesome. And we hold those two things together as we confront ourselves, our world, our God, that which we hold most sacred. That's a scary process, and a process that requires a courage and a bravery, as well as a compassion and a holding and a safety, which is why throughout our high holidays, we repeat the prayer Avinu Malkeinu over and over and over again. Avinu Malkeinu as words mean our Father, our King. Relating to God in two different ways. One as a loving parent, if we want to be more gender inclusive and more of like probably what they were going for in our world is a little bit different 2,000 years later, just slightly. And this idea of something greater than ourselves. These two things together. And so as we continue with Avinu Malkeinu, I invite us to invite all of ourselves here with compassion, with courage, looking at our worlds, at ourselves, at our values, as we create and begin a new year together. If you feel so moved and so able, please rise as we continue with Avinu Malkeinu on page 40.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Hatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu, Ve'al Aleinu, V'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei Dever, V'cherev Rav Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei Kotzar, Uma Hadei Shalenu, Shana Tova, Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu, Shema Kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our prayer. Imenu Malkadnu, let the gates of heaven be open to our pleas for a better world. Avinu Malkadnu, help us to work for racial justice and equality. Imenu Malkeinu, let us find pardon for our wrongdoings. Avinu Malkeinu, let us inscribe ourselves for blessings in the book of life. Imenu Malkadnu, show us how to embrace our whole selves. Avinu Malkadnu, help us to create a world where all people can be our true selves. Imenu Malkeinu, teach us how to fix our broken world. Avinu Malkeinu, teach us how to learn from our fears and from our mistakes. Imenu Malkadnu, be mindful of us and help us. Avinu Malkadnu, let us inscribe ourselves for blessings in the book of forgiveness. Imenu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for our actions have been flawed. Avinu Malkeinu, grant us justice and loving kindness, and help us bring about salvation for ourselves and all the world. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. And now our thoughts turn to those in our community who are in need of healing. Healing of mind, healing of body, and healing of spirit. And our thoughts also turn to ways that we can promote more health and healing in our own world. Healing of mind, body, and spirit. And one thing all of us can be doing, it's been a while, and should be doing every single time we are out and about with somebody we are not sharing a house with, is wearing our beautiful mask, covering the nose and the mouth. It might be uncomfortable, but our Temple Beit Torah masks remind us that if we save one life, we are saving the whole world. This is a very old concept from our rabbinic tradition, which is why we are meeting together, creating the new year on Zoom. So that hopefully next year, we can all be in person safely. And we are live streaming right now. And so for privacy reasons, we are not going to say the names of people we are thinking of who are in need of healing out loud. But if there are people you are thinking of that you would like to write into the chat, I would like to invite you to write them into the chat, and also to invite all of us to think of one person that perhaps we can reach out to and just let them know that they're not alone and that they are loved in this difficult time.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekor habracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mikor habraha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So tonight we are celebrating and creating Rosh Hashanah, literally the head of the year. Actually, it's the head or the start of the liturgical year. We have quite a few other New Years, 4 in total, because different things need different states of mind to have new beginnings. So the word Shana, as in Rosh Hashanah, means year. But it also comes from the word Lashanot, which in true Hebrew fashion means change and also to repeat and also to teach, as in Mishnah, it's the same word, which means tonight we are celebrating change and learning and also repetition, renewing our efforts to continue our best practices and best traits, while striving to learn from and change the less healthy behaviors. This time of year, we also talk a lot about teshuvah, a word we often translate as repentance, but it's actually a lot more complicated than that. Teshuvah comes from the verb lashuv, which means to return. Teshuvah is about returning to ourselves, returning to the goodness at our core, to the light and the beauty. It's about returning to truth, to seeing ourselves and our actions for their true impact, and doing everything we can do to make it right. But in order to return to ourselves and to our values, we must first be able to articulate them and to listen to them within us, to pause, to look backwards, to listen. I recently had the joy of physically spending time with my 93-year-old grandmother for the first time in 2 years. For those of you who don't know Grandma Pillsbury, she is the literal coolest. She's the holder of all of the history in our family, very much the matriarch. She's a historian, a librarian, a good Episcopalian who was called to the priesthood before women could be priests, but then told me she checked in with herself once women could be ordained and she was over it. She raised 4 children, had a ridiculous amount of schooling, and is definitely the most supportive grandmother to very diverse grandchildren. And yet we also come from very different worlds. She is New England wasp and very proper and into manners, or at least she used to be. And I grew up in Los Angeles with California kind of manners and that kind of relationship to manners. And so when my sister and I would visit her when we were younger, I just didn't get it. I didn't understand why it was important to waste a whole extra dish by pouring a takeout container into a nice bowl so it looked really pretty, but like, who cares? We were just eating it. It just seemed like all of these meaningless rules and constraints and opportunities to get in trouble. More work for no reason, except for this is how we do things. Way too much fakeness and caring about what other people think. not surprisingly, it turns out I was completely and utterly wrong. One time as a teenager, I asked my grandmother why she cared about propriety and about politeness, about social niceties. And she told me that the reason she cares is because that way everybody knows the same rules. Everybody's on the same page. There's no awkwardness or feeling like you don't belong. There's no making mistakes. There's guidelines. It's a way of showing respect, of showing someone you love them and that you care, of putting them at their ease. I had never thought of it that way before. And of course, she's right. And she was totally happy to tell me. But I had to ask. And I also had to really listen to her answer. I had to stop jumping to my own conclusions and actually listen to where she was coming from. To listen to how she saw the world and imagine the world she grew up in. All I had to do was take the time to ask and to really listen to the answer. It's true. She did not ask my sister and I how we felt about the rules in her house. But it is true that she always listened to us and always answered our questions seriously. And once she explained where she was coming from, the rules felt totally different anyway. They became opportunities to manifest love and respect, a different love language to learn, and a window into another world and worldview. On this most recent trip, my grandmother and I spent a lot of time talking about listening. She told me how she spent her childhood listening to adults talk to other adults, puzzling out what they were discussing when they had forgotten she was present. They didn't like to talk about things in front of girls, she told me. She got to know people in her life and developed a love of history, which she shared with all of us because she listened to people. I asked her what it takes to listen. And like the straight to the point, matter-of-fact boss that she is, she said, it's really quite simple. You just have to want to. I also recently Zoomed with my 95-year-old grandfather and asked him the same thing. He also said, it's really quite simple. You just have to want to. When we approach other people as full people, when we really want to know what another person is saying and understand where they are coming from, when we take the time to really listen, everything feels different. And it takes slowing down. It takes letting go of our agenda or thinking of what we are going to say next. It requires embracing the surprise of the conversation, embracing our own humility, and trusting ourselves that we will handle whatever comes next. Listening is an act of the profoundest love, a partnership, a sacred trust. In Torah, when you show up with a capital S, when a person is super present and declares it, when they are ready to listen, they say, Hineni, here I am. Abraham says Hineni to God when God calls him to sacrifice Isaac. Moses says Hineni when God appears to him in the burning bush. And Joseph says Hineni to his father before his brothers sell him into slavery. Hineni, here I am, and here you are. That's what deep listening takes. Cultivating a Hineni state of mind and being as fully present as possible. It means putting down our phones and electronic devices, unless, of course, that's how we're communicating. It means not multitasking. It means stopping everything else. Showing up, honoring the other, honoring ourselves, honoring our world. To engage in the process of true teshuvah requires deep listening to ourselves and to others in order to be able to let go of past behaviors and move on. We must listen to their impact. We must understand them, own them. And it's hard. It's scary. Listening is hard and scary sometimes. Just like being in community can be hard and can be scary. It can be hard and scary to care about other people, to go out of our way for others, to change our plans because of them, to explain ourselves over and over and over again, to have to change our perspective and our worldview. And the more different we are from another, the harder it is, but also the more beautiful. We all have so much to learn from one another, so much to teach. The Mishnah asks the question, who is wise? And it answers, a person who learns from every person. We all have our own Torah to teach and to give. We all have so much Torah to listen to and to learn. It takes patience and time. And yet it is so transformative, individually and communally. And when we are all engaged in trying to be better listeners, we can help each other. We can protect one another's vulnerability. We can ask gentle questions when we don't understand. We can give each other the benefit of the doubt. We can strive to speak and to listen with kindness. And most of all, we can slow down and make time for ourselves and the people and animals we care about. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and the bustle of everyday life, of work and school and family and friends and taking care of surviving, of volunteer obligations and hobbies. Just existing in this world right now is a lot. And our tradition gets it. Tonight, we are not only celebrating a new year, but we are also beginning Shnat Shemitah, the sabbatical year, a year of rest. Every 7 years, our Torah calls for a complete cessation of all labor for everyone, from the slave to the mega millionaire. Fields lay fallow. Anything that grows naturally is left for whoever comes to pick it up. They make storehouses and like you stockpile beforehand kind of thing. But then you're also supposed to provide for everybody who might not be able to stockpile, because spoiler alert, being able to stockpile is a privilege and a sign of wealth. And yet the Torah is like, no, everybody's working way too hard. Every 7 years, we just need to stop, to slow down, to chill, to rest as profoundly as we possibly can. Our Torah is reminding us that no one can do everything, that go, go, go does not exclusively build a better world, but that we need time to think and reset, to rest and rejuvenate. We need time to be able to slow down and listen to ourselves and to one another. We need time to help to cultivate that hineni state of mind in order to be able to show up for ourselves and others. On Rosh Hashanah, on this head of this year, at this beginning of change and repetition, we return to ourselves and ask ourselves, what really matters? What has changed for me in the past year? What hasn't? How have I changed? How have I not changed? What have I learned? What mistakes do I keep repeating? Who do I need to spend more time listening to? And who do I need to spend less? What do I wish to change about my life and my world? And what do I wish to keep the same? This Rosh Hashanah, this time of deliberate change, calls us to embrace that which changes and that which does not, to have the courage to begin a new year, not knowing what it will bring or when COVID will finally end. We call ourselves, to one another, and to our values, reminding ourselves of our endless commitment to learning, to listening, and to becoming. Shana Tova. Happy New Year.
Eitz chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomecheha meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol nativoteha Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai lecha elocha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu kekedem.
The word aleinu literally means upon us. It's all plus anu or anu, which is the anachnu, the we, and all is the upon, or going up like aliyah. Hebrew's really cool, which is why if you want to learn Hebrew, let me know, or let the Schneidermans know, or let Leah Rackless know, our awesome director of education. So the aleinu, one of our as we prepare to conclude our service, we begin with this powerful word, aleinu, upon us, asking ourselves, what are we taking responsibility for? As we begin a new year, what will we say is upon us? And what will we leave to somebody else? We can't do everything. And yet we make commitments and we do our best to see them through. If you feel so moved and so able, I invite you to rise as we turn to page 43 for the aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach le'adon hakol, la'teit gedula le'otzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. Va'anachnu koreim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Page 45. At this sacred moment, we turn our thoughts to those who have gone from life. We recall the joy of their companionship. We feel a pang, the echo of that intenser grief when first their death lay before our stricken eyes. Now we know that they will never vanish, so long as heart and thought remain within us. By love are they remembered, and in memory they live. O God, grant that their memory may bring strength and blessing. May the nobility in their lives and the high ideals they cherished endure in our thoughts and live on in our deeds. May we, carrying on their work, help to redeem your promise that life shall yet prevail. We continue with the Mourners Kaddish as one community of mourners, welcoming the memories of all those who came before us, those we miss, and those who have no one left to grieve for them. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shmei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirotei yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yom echon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'gala v'zman kariv yimru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei dekudashah v'yichlu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran v'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. As we prepare to conclude our Erev Rosh Hashanah services, this is just the beginning of our New Year celebration. Join us back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, or join us on YouTube whenever is good for you, because you can make the New Year happen whenever you need it to happen. And that's one of the wonders of technology. As we prepare to conclude, we are concluding with an old favorite, with Adon Olam, a song, a prayer that reminds us that there is something greater than ourselves and asks us what it is. Celebrating with our ancestors and those who came before us and those who will come after. We continue singing Adon Olam on page 47.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra liet nasa v'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu והוא יהיה בתפארח בידו הפקיד רוחי ותישן ואירה ואם רוחי Adonai li velo ira.
As we conclude our our Erev Rosh Hashanah service this evening, may each of us remember how awesome we are. May we have the courage to approach the coming year with the best of ourselves, grounding ourselves in our values, making time to listen to ourselves, to each other, and to our world. Shana Tova, Happy New Year.
Hold on.
Hi, Ben. Ben, it's so good to see